what really was a turning point for my business is when I really focused on what my why was. Why was I trying to do what we were doing? What were our values? Like what was that side of stuff? Because once I knew that, I started to attract people that aligned with that better. Whereas probably my biggest stress in the last 7 years have been just major staffing issues or people leaving or, stuff like that going on. And we don't get any of that anymore. We've got a really coherent team.
Hello and welcome to So You Want to Start a Business, the podcast where we interview business owners, entrepreneurs and other smart guests so we can learn their tips, tactics and strategies. I'm your host Ingrid Thompson and it is my absolute pleasure to bring you these interviews. Each and every guest has their unique perspective on business and today is no exception. Today we hear from Katherine Maslen. Katherine is a naturopath, a nutritionist and an author. She is the founder of Brisbane Natural Health, which is a wellness centre. And at the time of recording, Brisbane Natural Health is Australia's first and only membership-based wellness centre. Katherine has a terrific business story. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and here we are today with Katherine Maslen. Hello, Katherine.
Hello, Ingrid.
Nice to have you here. Thank you. So, Katherine, tell us, what business are you in? What is your business?
So I am in the business of helping people to live a life they love. And the way that I do that is I'm actually a naturopath by trade personally, but I've got a team of 11 people here in Milton, Brisbane, and we collectively work towards patients' health, helping to improve their wellness using natural therapies primarily.
That's fantastic. Helping people improve their health, that's fantastic. So when did you start this business?
About 7 years ago now, I started Brisbane Natural Health.
And why did you start your own business? Because, obviously you could have worked for someone else. Why was it important for you to start your own business?
Well, I did work for someone else for a while. So I worked in a couple of different clinics before I started Brisbane Natural Health. And I guess for me, what I found was that there was always something missing. I have a really big background in emotional wellness stuff, and I felt like that was a really big gap for people. But also that even though there were multiple practitioners sort of renting rooms or in the same place, that it wasn't really as collaborative as it could be. So I guess I always wanted to start my own business. So the seed for that was planted probably a few years before I started the clinic. But I just wanted to create this space where some of these needs were met. So which happened, and we're actually doing it really successfully now.
Isn't that fantastic? So you wanted to have a more a mental, like a holistic approach to the health and well-being. Was there anything else you wanted from the business from day one?
I guess I just wanted, I've worked personally with 3,000 people over the years, and I just knew that there were some people that got amazing results and just stayed that way, and there were others that would be what we call repeat patients. So we'd fix them and then they'd be back, 6 months, 12 months down the track. So what I really wanted to create was a framework where people took a little bit more self-responsibility and were able to actually go, no, this is my health. I'm not just coming in to get fixed. I'm going to actually really take a hold of this and learn what I need to do to be well for life.
Katherine, that's a real 3,000 people is a tremendous number of people. That you could have impacted that many lives is really something to be very proud of, isn't it? And that idea of self-responsibility, that completely shifts the whole where the health comes from, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when did the business feel real? When did you actually feel like you were in business? Was there a moment when you went, okay, now I'm in business?
Oh, immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. Immediately. Very real. Shit just got real. I've always felt, like I've been in the business. And I guess because I'm a naturopath, when I started the business, I brought a lot of clients with me. So I already had a bit of a following and my own website and some stuff happening like that. So as soon as I started the business, it was really just hitting the ground running and expanding on that rather than starting something completely new.
Yes. And so with your customer base and the fact that you were, offering something that was a little bit different to the experience you'd had in other clinics, how did you know customers wanted that? How did you know this would be a viable option?
So it didn't start off this way. It's been a progression of development. So we began, when I started the clinic, we just did it the traditional way. We just did session to session, and we might have hosted a few workshops and did a few webinars, etc. And then what happened was we created a package type system where people could prepay for a package of sessions, which kind of guided them over the first 3 or 4 months. And then from there, the memberships developed. So it's something that, I guess from our point of view, it's looking at health and wellness with naturopathy. Having 2 or 3 sessions really isn't going to get you where you need to go. So it didn't really make sense to me that people were kind of coming in and doing these few sessions, and there'd be some patients that were great and would continue and some that weren't. So I guess for us, it was that choice of who do we actually want to work with and who are the people that we want to help. And for us, we wanted to help those people that were interested in digging a little bit deeper and really getting into the crux of things. And even with the membership, it's been about 2 years now that we've been exclusively membership only, and we've probably had about 8 or 9 renditions of our core membership, you know, because really when you create something new, you're having this assumption of what people want. So you're like, all right, well, I know that these are the pieces and this works well for most people, but it's not until you're actually initiating it and doing it that you're like, oh, people are behaving a little bit different than they normally do actually. Oh, and I think we need a little bit of this, and I think this needs to be a bit more flexible. So it's taken us a while to really perfect it, but we're at a point now where our product is actually really good.
Isn't that fantastic? And it does take a few iterations, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, most businesses do that, don't they? So how do you find new customers? Where do your new customers come from?
So we have a really strong referral base. Obviously, like, you know, with what we do, we get some pretty remarkable results and people like to talk about it, but also online. You know, probably the core of our new client inquiries are coming from online. So I've always worked really hard to have a strong presence with Google, and that's with my own personal website and also the clinic website. And that's been a lot of just blogging, you know, using social media, etc. So we actually put a lot of time and investment into online marketing, definitely.
Yeah, so that you're targeting people and they know how to find you and what you're actually offering. Yeah. So I guess I'm picturing a naturopathy clinic and a health clinic. I mean, it's a physical location. Was there, and you can tell us as much detail as you like around money in this instance, but how did you fund the business to get started? What was your strategy around funding at the beginning?
So I actually used our life savings. So mine and my partner. So rather than buying a house, we decided to invest in the business. You know, luckily business was good and we were able to recoup that in the first kind of 12 to 24 months and get it, you know, do the house thing. But that's what we did. We kind of decided to go all in and go, well, let's actually do this, you know, as an investment.
That's a huge commitment, Katherine. Yeah. Now, you've mentioned packages and you've alluded to membership. Tell us about your process for the pricing strategy, because you do have a completely different approach to this, to the normal, if you like. So please, could you tell us about, I mean, you don't have to tell us the exact amounts, or if you want to, but how does it work?
So it actually took a long time to get the pricing right. And in the first renditions of the memberships, we did lose money. And it's just because, well, we did some unlimited memberships, which were sort of like not the best strategy. To begin with, we did memberships which included product, which again wasn't a great strategy. So what we've worked is I've kind of just tried to reverse engineer it and go, well, what do we need to make per appointment to be profitable? How many appointments are they going to need as part of that package? And then what do we need to charge per week? So we've got probably 8 or 9 different memberships with different inclusions, but it just allows people to kind of go, right, well, where are they actually going to slot in for that? So it hasn't been easy. It's been actually quite challenging to get it right, and to be honest, I still don't think we have it completely right. Probably in January we'll do another pricing review, but it's, you know, it's getting there.
And as you say, it just continues to be depending on what people want, and it makes it appealing to a wider range of people. So, Katherine, it's early days, I suppose 7 years. Do you have an exit strategy, or have you thought about the exit of the business?
I have thought about the exit of the business, but not in too much detail, to be honest. So we've just gone through quite a big growth period and quite a big like cash intensive growth period. So really all tasks and energy have been in that and kind of getting through this too. And that's just because we have 11 staff, but we have 8 full-time equivalent, and it's just not a great number when it comes to admin versus billables, etc. So we've been actively trying to work through that. We're almost through that, and then once we're through that, then we can look at, all right, well, what are the next targets and what do we need to do with that? I know that eventually I will want to exit the business, and that's only because I've got so many other projects that I personally would love to do. But on the same token, like, we're doing something new and exciting. You know, we've just launched virtual membership, so that's another arm of the business. So I want to be in there and experiencing it and doing it, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I didn't have a physical clinic to test it in.
Yes, that's right. So and it's just interesting to see how people think about what they're going to do in the future. So let's have a little bit of reflection. Is there something you wish you'd done differently at the beginning?
We all just kind of jump in and learn as we go, don't we? I wish I knew more just around actually running a business. I actually feel like for the first time ever I'm learning how to properly run a real business, and that's, I guess, a lot of the stuff I'm doing with my coach currently is around financials and planning and growth strategies, rather than just kind of going, oh my god, we don't have clients, let's throw in a bit of marketing and see what happens. Like that more reactive type stuff. The other thing is just what really was a turning point for my business is when I really focused on what my why was. You know, why was I trying to do what we were doing? What were our values? Like what was that side of stuff? Because once I knew that, I started to attract people that aligned with that better. Whereas probably my biggest stress in the last 7 years have been just major staffing issues or people leaving or, you know, stuff like that going on. And we don't get any of that anymore. We've got a really coherent team. We have retreats every quarter. You know, everyone's on the same page. So I think that's one of the things that I wish that I knew more about at the beginning. Isn't that interesting that by just having that why, and there are a lot of people that might just, you know, skip over that. But it makes such a difference, doesn't it? So you mentioned a business coach, and your partner was all in allowing the funds between the two of you to decide to, you know, put all the funds in. But who else has been of greatest assistance to you as you started the business and as you've grown it over the 7 years? You can either name names or people, So to be honest, the community of Dent Global, and the program that I did called Key Person of Influence has really been the biggest thing for me, the biggest support. So, you know, in that community, I've got a heap of really close friends that also run businesses that I can go to for advice and brainstorming. I have an amazing accountability group of 8 individual business owners that we go away once every quarter and work on our businesses. So that's really been the biggest thing for me, is being immersed in that community with other people who are trying to do epic things as well. Yeah, that makes a huge difference who you surround yourself with, doesn't it? Absolutely. So, Katherine, you've mentioned your accountability group and the Dent community. Is there anyone who can give you really good, useful feedback? Where do you personally get feedback from for your business, for yourself? Yeah, it's from my mastermind group. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely those guys. So, I mean, the whole point of the group is for us to give each other honest, open feedback and to push each other to do better. So that's really where I get my most inspiration, and I'm really blessed to be a part of it. They're a really great group of business owners. Oh, that's terrific. So the people listening to this podcast are mostly aspiring business people wanting to start a business or in that very early stage. So what would you say to someone who comes to you and says, I want to start my own business? What would you say to them? Get ready for the ride. Yep. I think that it's really just about being clear of what your intentions are and what you're trying to achieve. So if you want to start a business just because you think that's a great idea and you just want to make a bit of money out of it, you're not going to get joy out of that, and you're not going to be able to build your systems. But I feel like getting educated really early on and just realizing that it is a growth journey, and you will learn a lot as you go. But it's just realizing that with business there are going to be a lot of ups and downs, and you've just got to be really resilient and hang on for the ride. So you've just mentioned the word resilient. 3 characteristics that you think you have that has made you successful in business? Resilience is definitely one of them. Yeah. I think creativity. Yeah. Definitely being able to think outside of the box. And the other one is probably what would the third one be? Probably positivity, and being able to just sort of roll with the punches, I guess. Well, knowing you personally, that would be one of the characteristics I'd give you. But something that you mentioned earlier there, Katherine, that you said about the mastermind group, and I think one of those key things is around being able to take that feedback from people and do something useful with it. I think sometimes we get caught up in what we think we're doing, and that ability to be coachable, that ability to take that feedback and, make a pivot or make a slight deviation in the journey, that's an important characteristic too. And I know that you're very good at that, and that's how your business has been what it is now. Yeah. So characteristics for a budding startup. So I know we've talked about resilience and creativity and positivity. Is there anything else that someone getting started needs that you would recommend to them? I think that they just need to like put their heart into it, you know, like it's startup's exciting. Startup shouldn't feel grueling. It shouldn't feel hard. I remember when I was starting my business, I loved spending hours on end doing social media and, you know, writing our copy and making brochures and doing all of that stuff. Like it was quite a creative process to me because I was in love with my business.
Yes.
So that's just what I recommend to people is it's, you know, there are all these things that you're going to have to do and learn and experience, but you know, it's coming back to that. If you're really clear about why you're doing it and the impact that it's going to make, then it's really exciting. I think of business almost as a game in a way.
Yes.
And where it's a game, and if you win, you get money, and if you lose, you know, like there's issues. So it's, and in all games, you know, you need to learn skills. You need to, you know, be a little bit innovative. But, you know, the rewards are really plentiful as well.
No, I think that's a lovely analogy for it, indeed. Katherine, thank you so much. I'll put some notes in the show notes about how people can contact you, particularly now that you have a virtual program and membership that could be very appealing to people listening as well. Because, so we'll put that in the... Is there an easy way that people can contact you in that way?
Yes, so probably the best thing for people to do if they're more interested in what we do is to sign up for our free 10-day health challenge. So the website is the number 10, dayhealthchallenge.com.au, and that'll give them like access to like a free 10-day health coaching type thing. Otherwise, if they head to brisbanenaturalhealth.com.au, there's heaps of info and testimonials and different stuff on there too.
Wow, a 10-day health challenge. That's very generous, Katherine. Thank you. So anything else you'd like to add or anything we haven't talked about?
No, that's all. But I think like if you're in startup zone, it's exciting. I mean, I guess that's one of the reasons why I'd like to exit my business is so I can embark on startup again, because it is a really exciting time. I'm excited to do it a second time around knowing what I know.
Yes, with all of that knowledge, what you can do differently. Well, we look forward to following that. And thanks, Katherine, so much for your time.
My pleasure.
We managed to catch Katherine on a busy day between previously booked podcast interviews and her own patients, and she certainly packed our time together chock-a-block full of terrific business startup wisdom. That membership model for the health industry is only just starting. Gyms and yoga and Pilates studios have been doing membership models for years. Katherine's comment about being really clear about why she does what she does and how this impacting on the sort of people that are coming to Brisbane Natural Health, both the clients and the team members and other health professionals. Like certainly does attract like, doesn't it? Thanks for listening. I'm Ingrid Thompson, and if you're thinking about starting your own business, I've written a book called So You Want to Start a Business, and you can grab a generous excerpt over at www.soyouwanttostartabusiness.com.au. As always, you can find full transcripts of all our podcasts over on my website healthynumbers.com.au with links and show notes. Remember, ideas without action, well, they're just that. They're just ideas. What actions are you inspired to take today after our conversation with Katherine? I'm Ingrid Thompson from Healthy Numbers, and thanks for listening.